And while Israel is witnessing a fresh disruption day, the protest movement against the government's judicial reform has kicked off. Several people are taking part in the civil disobedience march across the country. And currently the coalition government's bill to remake the legal and judicial system is on hold as protesters seek to ramp up the anti-government demonstrations once again. The events are based on the theme of equality, and media reports suggest protesters have blocked major highways and intersections around the country. Meanwhile, the police has reportedly removed protesters from the WION highway that runs throughout Tel Aviv. Earlier, the kind of disruption days have led to clashes between protesters and the police. The Israeli police also made multiple arrests. Several key political leaders were also arrested. For more on this, we are now being joined by our correspondent Jody Cohen from Tel Aviv. And Jody, what can you tell us about the latest protests? Protesters not wanting to cool off their demonstrations as they worry the government may find ways to pass the reforms.
Right, so this is the 17th week of protests that we've seen across the country. And as you said, it's being billed today as a day of equality. And it's been coordinated with various protest groups around the country. The students are playing a prominent role, LGBTQ groups. We're seeing the military reservists, pro-Palestinian groups, women's groups, and of course the high-tech sector, all protesting against the government's proposed judicial reform plans. Now, as a result of all of these protests, as we know, the legislation has been put on hold and negotiations are taking place at the president's residence. It's unclear as yet if a compromise can be reached. I think it's also important to note that the pro-judicial reform rallies have been growing over the past few weeks, reportedly to between 150 and 200,000 participants. It's also important to note that here, I'm in the heart of Tel Aviv, which is the largest protest that always takes place across the country. There are far fewer participants than in the past. I've been speaking to some of the people here. Some people think it's because of the heat wave that's happened today. And most people believe that it's because of the negotiations that are taking place. A lot of people are taking a wait-and-see approach, although the numbers are expected to pick up this evening at the start of the weekend and at the Saturday night protest planned over the weekend as well. But still, in the past, we've had days of disruption during the workday, and this whole venue behind me has been absolutely packed up to the street, down the street that way, and the numbers just don't compare this time round. So a lot of people are taking a wait-and-see approach.
Jody, a wait-and-see approach for many protesters, but the government is still facing criticism on multiple fronts. Just how vulnerable is Prime Minister Netanyahu right now?
Absolutely. So the students in particular have been saying that because the government is focusing on the judicial reform overhaul, that they're not addressing other key important issues. And this protest also comes at a time of criticism not only of the coalition's judicial reform proposals, but the government's also facing criticism about a proposed bill to enable ultra-Orthodox men to be exempted from the compulsory military service. Now, they believe that Torah study is crucial for Israel's spiritual survival, but a lot of secular people would like to see more religious people take part in the army. Now, the United Torah Judaism party head, Yitzhak Goldknopf, has actually warned that the government could, in fact, fall over this issue. The government is also facing criticism for what some see as a weak response in Gaza. So remember, Israel struck 16 Hamas targets after 104 rockets were fired from Gaza into Israel in 24 hours. And the Otzma Yehudit party, headed by Itamar Ben-Gvir, they actually boycotted voting in parliament on Wednesday in protest. I just want to say that it's not likely that we're going to see any of the coalition parties wanting to go to elections, because polls indicate that they would lose support if an election was held now. But with the UTJ head warning, he's saying that another coalition could be a possibility.
Right, Jody. Thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest there.
Thank you.